Hey guys, we're here live. I'm Jen Zelman from NachoMom.club, and I'm here with the famous Naja Hall, creator of Blended in Black, a family life coach, author of the book Girl Bye, and a fellow stepmom.
Hey
Hey
guys,
Naja, how you doing, girl?
it's famous. Like, I don't know where you got that from, but thank you. I'll take it.
No, totally. So today we're talking about starting the conversation about the conversation we have about stepmoms. To me, it is like completely crazy that so many divorces, so many second families, there's still such
Right.
a negative perception about stepmoms. I mean, I totally feel that. Do you, Naja?
Immediately, it's like you are coming into a place where they did not expect you to be. You were not planned on being here. You're certainly not invited. And who do you think you are, assuming that you're entitled to be welcome? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally stepdad, stepmoms. It's like a two. It's totally different. It's so easy. It seems. I mean, I know stepdads have their gripes too, but we're not talking about them today.
Exactly.
With people in our group, the group of stepmoms, it's like we're demonized before it even starts. And thank you, Walt Disney, for creating all these
Yes,
characters of the evil stepmom. That is not
completely. It's almost like the words go hand in hand. Like you think of stepmother, you almost can't help but think of the word evil. It just like comes to mind. Disney fairy tales. We're battling hundreds of years here.
exactly. And you have to look at how society views mothers and how
Yes.
society views fathers. Mothers are almost put on this. Mothers are put on a proverbial pedestal, if you will. Mom can do no wrong. Even if mom is not in the home, if she's abandoned her kids, if mom is a drug addict, mom is still mom. Dad, however, does not get the same grace. The reason that psychology teaches that is there's a psychological shift that happens when it comes to mothers and fathers. There just absolutely is. We cannot even see our mothers as sexual beings. We can't. Like, it's just kind of
Yeah, and I think it's coming down to biology. Like that is, if you can't change it, some of these things are just inherent in the role. But I totally feel like still, I've been a stepmom for a while now, and I still feel like such an awkward pang anytime I have to introduce myself as a stepmom, which I hate. Why do I have that awkwardness? Like anytime I say, oh, and I'm a stepmom, people I feel like look at me like funny, and they make all these crazy assumptions that are not true at all. Like, and I also have a huge age gap with my husband. So I feel like that doesn't help. So in 2 seconds, they're like, oh, she stole him away.
oh, you're the problem. You're the reason.
Like all these assumptions, and maybe it's in my head, but I don't think it is.
It's not. It's totally not in your head. I don't. I'm a little bit older than my husband, probably like 8 months. But everybody assumes that the next woman that's coming in, number one, we are wanting to take over this role that this other woman had. No, that's not what we want. If she, that's not what we want. And I don't mean this in any sort of disrespectful way, but she failed at her role as being this man's wife. He failed at his role of being her husband. Point blank. Period. Point blank. Period. I don't want to fill her shoes. I don't want to be her kid's mother. I don't want to do that. I simply want to love my husband and everything that comes along with him. So I think as stepmom, you just think like when people down you and when people demonize you, please remember that. Your job is to love your man. That's it, and support him. And yes, part of supporting him is being there to help him with his children.
Exactly. And I think part of it is a lot of it comes down to doing work on yourself. Because for me, that awkwardness and that, that negative perception I feel like I'm constantly faced with, I kind of just wonder, you know what, forget it. They're going to judge me no matter what.
Exactly.
Own it and just say loud and proud, I'm a stepmom, think whatever you want to think, but I'm not going to let myself, recoil and be kind of beaten down by this. You just got to put it out in the world and be proud.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm looking down. I'm sharing this video with everybody as we're talking, but you're right.
No, the more the merrier. Yeah, I got it.
So one would think, and we all know the statistic at this point. We've repeated it over and over. I know you shared it too, Jen. There are literally 1,300 new step families created every day. So what happens in a step family? That means because we are created, that means something else did not make it. So we are not. We have a different sort of dilemma. For example, if it was a first marriage, no children, you got these two hopeful young folks entering into this life, what they think is going to be this lifelong covenant. They have kids, they build a house, they get a dog, boom, things don't work out. The family, a divorce happens. And a divorce is the death of a family. This is something that you have to grieve. So when you enter into a second marriage, this second marriage is not born necessarily of hope and youth and happiness. And
It's a whole different thing.
It's obviously born of these things, but in order for your relationship to exist, something else had to die. So I hope that a lot of stepmothers out there consider that. You might be walking into a situation where kids are still grieving. The ex-wife still may be grieving. Your man may still be grieving his family, not necessarily the love that he had for that person, but he still might be grieving this thing that he had, this picture that he had in his head, how things were going to be, and boom, they didn't work out. So.
Right. And no matter what kind of face they put on, it's still, people still look at it as a failure for themselves. Like I know my husband always says, like, I just did it. I put off divorce so long. I didn't want to be a failure. And if he didn't say that, I would have never known that, because he puts on like a tough face. So it's interesting, but that is a really good point. I never really thought of that. But I always thought, okay, I struggle so much with the fact of being a stepmom. I grew up as a stepchild. I never in a million years thought I would be a stepmom, because I had a very bad relationship with my stepmom. So when I found myself in this position, I was like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? But now it's great. But I thought, well, the poor kids, because I'm, as an adult, struggling with the concept of being a stepmom. Imagine poor kids looking to having the idea that, wow, I have a non-traditional family. It's hard for them to deal, and we don't really talk about it.
It's so hard.
It is. They don't have the tools to really even reach out, or how to communicate, or even the words to kind of start that conversation of, this is, I feel funny that I have a mom where everyone else in my class, we all have just regular mom.
Right.
So
a lot of times, I think when we have a divorce or an initial separation of the family, a lot of the families that I coach, they've made a huge mess of things, and I'm there trying to play cleanup with these people. One thing about it is, we are not equipped to handle conflict properly in this society. We're just not, And then when it's a matter of the heart, and you're disappointed, and a marriage is ended, and your family is separated, we're just not equipped to handle this kind of stuff. So if you as a parent are not equipped to handle divorce, how in the world do you think these little children are?
Exactly.
So you gotta get yourself some help. You got to sit on someone's couch. You got to take someone's class. You got to get every book that you can. You have to give yourself the resources, because when you have a toothache, you go to the dentist, right?
Mental health is so different.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more. And I think people still stigmatize that and are embarrassed, because take the ego out of it. Your life will just only improve with that.
Right.
You have nothing to lose,
Right. We have this old saying back in the South, pride comes before the fall. I've seen so many people carry their pride with them, and that's this thing, and that's they want that to be the hill that they choose to die on. Your pride, when it comes to your children, your self-worth, your own mental health, is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So.
Especially when the bottom line is the health and mental health of the kids, you have to put them first over everything, over your ego, over your stuff. So the kids come first. So that's why I did the children's book, because I thought I was battling this negative perception about stepmoms. Yeah. What about the kids? Like, I just imagined a little 5-year-old who gets the news that their parents are getting divorced and daddy's marrying a new lady, and you're going to have what's called a stepmom. The only reference, like we mentioned before, for a stepmom is Disney, fairy tales. My little 4-year-old niece, actually, my sister told her the other day, oh, your Aunt Jenny's a stepmom. She bursted out crying, and she says, no, tell me no, it's not true. Aunt Jenny, no.
Wow.
Immediately, I was like, okay, something needs to be done here. We weren't even saying she has a stepmom. We're saying something related to her.
She's like, somebody that I love is this evil monster. No, I think I'm so glad now that in this era, for a lot of us, we're changing the narrative of what it means to be a stepmother.
Yes.
I'm a stepmom, and I'm proud. Like, I am so proud of it. I was deathly afraid at first, so. As a matter of fact, going back, I would never even date a guy with kids. Like, back in my younger days, I would never. My husband was the first person I've ever been with kids. Because I was like, I don't want to deal with as we say, a crazy ex, or kids that are causing problems in my household. I just want to start fresh. And
because all you hear is negative things.
All you hear is these negative things. And whether these negative things become a part of your life or not, that's something that you can't control other people. But at least now you have the tools to go out and get some help, so you don't have to suffer in silence.
Exactly. And I think but I think, I don't know if it's just me, but all the stepmoms I know and speak to and that email me, they're all great women that contribute so many good things to the family. They do so much with the stepkids. They expose them to all these new things. They're such a good force in the child's life. So to see them have such a negative reputation just really bothers me. So that's why
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the negative reputation obviously came from some women that were stepmothers that failed royally in their positions. However, when we see a negative reputation amongst a large group of people, or, you know, stepmoms, for example, that usually does not really come from them. That comes from prejudices against them. We're already prejudged before we even step foot in the door. Those came from the insecurities of biological mothers. Yes, I said it. They come from the insecurities that society has placed on women that are marrying men that have divorced a woman and left her with kids. That's what happens. And mind you, I think 72% of divorces happen because the wife initiates it. So this woman wanted out. That's one thing we have to remind ourselves and understand. So I would say these negative connotations come from some insecurities, not stemming from us, but from other people. Yeah, and I feel like call a spade a spade. That's what it is.
It's true. You're right. And I think negative gossip is always so much juicier than positive gossip.
It is.
Something is much more interesting if you're saying, "Oh, did you hear what that bitch did?" versus like, "Oh, did you hear what a wonderful stepmom she is?" Like that news isn't gonna travel fast. So, but
you're a biological mother, and your child comes home and says, "My stepmom Jen took me to do this new activity," and they come home raving about Jen. That's going to put you in your feels a little bit. It's going to hurt a little, you know, because your mom, you wanted to have this experience with your child and you wanted to be her number one hero. So another woman is in the picture. Not only this other woman showing your child what it means to romantically love their father, now this woman has an influence in your child's life. I'll be good and damned. So what do? We create the negative narrative of this stepmother, and we create loyalty binds within our own children so that they feel uncomfortable, or they're just afraid, or they feel guilty to love and show affection to stepmom. It's got to stop it. We have to stop doing it.
So now I think we just have to keep exposing it for what it is and change the conversation and point out all the positive things a stepmom brings. So that's why I did the book. So the book is for young children. So if they get news they're getting a stepmom, the book is called I Have a Stepmom, Hooray. So it's like celebrating stepmoms versus like, I'm getting a stepmom, oh no. Evil. Right. So point out all the positive aspects, all the fun things stepmoms can do with you. So it gets a kid after reading this book, they say, wait, just even a glimmer of hope of saying, maybe she'll be a nice lady. Maybe this will actually add to my life. Maybe it'll be fun. So it's just starting the conversation of stepmoms can be awesome when they usually are, and we don't have to categorize them necessarily as evil and this, horrible figure in a life, and they're really quite good.
When I was reading your book, I showed it to my husband. I was like, oh my gosh, look what Jen wrote. This is so cool. I never would have thought to create something that celebrates stepmothers because, we're always, the thing that happens with stepmoms is you're kind of told that you're not necessary. You're not important. My kids don't need you. Blah. Like, you're not this figure in their life, but you actually are. And when I was reading it, like, the book is universal. The characters are, can I talk about the characters or no? Can I?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a feature of it.
The characters are cute little animals. They're cute little animals. So, the kids will be like, okay, it's something that kids can easily identify with. The pictures are so well illustrated. Like, it was so cute.
Thank you.
And it, the poetic nature of it, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this will fit in a child's mind. Kids,
easy for them to swallow.
Exactly. They can refer to it. They're like, okay, these words kind of rhyme, and they will remember it. And this is something the child that might commit to their own memory, and it'll become part of their psyche because it's all positive. So congratulations on your book, girl.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it's really, I just think it's not only changing the conversation about stepmoms for our sake, but also the most important are the kids. And I think we have to keep that at the forefront and always be coming back to them, what's best for them. And at the end of the day, it is the job we signed up for. And we are, like you said, no matter how much you feel you're an influence in their life, you are an influence in their life. And a big one.
No matter what, right.
No matter how much you see them.
Right. And I loved it. I can't wait to share with my stepkids because I've never presented anything to them that celebrates a stepmom because I've always,
when you're told that's such a novel concept, like that's even bizarre that like to say a stepmom hooray, that's weird.
Right.
That's odd.
When I saw the title, I was like, ugh. But I did that because I was like, wow, I really let society get in my head. I maybe let things that BioMom has said get in my head, and it took down my sense of importance. And I was like, wow, this really sucks. And not only was it good, it's going to be a great read for the kids, but it's a great read for stepmoms. If you're a grown woman, get the damn book because it's great for you.
Yeah.
Talking about changing the mindset of society and these children, we first have to start with ourselves. We got to take a long look in the mirror and say, sister, you are important. You have a very big role, a very large role. So yeah,
absolutely taking ownership of that. Well, thank you so much, Naja. You have been such a pleasure to speak to, and I feel like we're totally on the same wavelength as many stepmoms are, I think. And I love that we're starting the conversation and just exposing the truth and being seen as who we really are.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. Well, we'll definitely be chatting again soon. And thank you for everyone for joining us and for tuning in. And we'll definitely be back here soon at NachoMom.club and Blended in Black. And make sure to pick up your copy of, how do I get this here? I Have a Stepmom, Hooray, and read it to your stepkids immediately. Head on over to NachoMom.club and just go to shop and you'll see it there. All right, bye, everyone. Have a great weekend and Friday. Bye.